Alright guys, welcome back to episode 22, a franchise with Seattle Mariners. So, like I said, we just got done with July here. This is going to be the July recap video, if you can tell by the title. So we're in August 1st here. We're going to be at home versus Boston. Walker taking on Rodriguez, both young guys. I'm going to go ahead and go over some waivers here. Obviously, Mott got called up to the Rockies, but waivers. So really I'm just going to skip all these. Really what waivers is after the trade deadline, teams can put a player or some players on trade waivers, basically making them eligible to be able to trade after the deadline is over. So when they do that, they're put on waivers, and the rest of the league, every other team in the league can put a claim on them saying, I want this player. And the other, so if I put a claim on Watson here saying, I want Watson, the Pirates will know that I put a claim on him, and they have a chance to basically claim him back. But that means that he has to stay on their 25-man roster. That's basically how it works. And if they don't want him on the 25-man roster, then they're like, okay, then the Mariners claim him, go to the Mariners. That's really how it works. So, really with this, I mean, we could, claim some guys if we want to. I actually might put a claim right here on Navarro. I'm not really getting any production at the catcher or the catching position, so I'm going to go ahead and put a claim on him, like I said. You do want to be careful if you put a claim on like too many people, and you could get, like, if you put on a claim on a whole team of people, then you could get every single guy, and you'd have like 50 guys on your 25-man roster. So you kind of have to be careful with it. I mean, other than that, I'm not really seeing anyone that I'm blown away by. Really, it was just a catcher. I'm really needing a catcher or someone who can produce as far, at the catcher position. Other than that, though, I mean, there's no one really. I was looking at their contracts. I'll put a claim on Hundley as well. Looks like Gutierrez has not really done any. He has 15 home runs with the Reds. His slugging has gone up a little bit too as well. Let's see, Desmond Jennings, decent, but no. Rodney, 2.25 ERA and 20 innings pitched for the Marlins. Possibly, that might be a possibility. So that's really how it works, guys. I mean, there's no one really else in here that I'm going to put a claim on. So that's really how it works. So yeah, that's really it. So let's get into some other things here. Let's look at some of our prospects, guys, see how they did. Kyle Lewis, number 1 prospect, 378, 347, 380 in AAA. Tyler O'Neill, still struggling, 204, 302, and 320 in AA. Drew Jackson, AA, 264, 372, and 376. Zach Lee looking to be called up again, 296 ERA against a 136 whip with a 76 innings pitched in AAA. Alex Jackson in AA, 238, 293, and 375. Dan Vogelbach looking to be called up soon, 271, 364, and 479 in AAA. DJ Peterson finally off the DL, 265, 361, and 397 in AA. Gurriel is up in the big leagues right now. Tyler Stevenson he's actually on the DL, has great stats in AA, 311, 390, and 470, looking to be called up in September. Yorman Rodriguez in the outfield for AAA, 259, 338, and 354. Mike Freeman having a great season as our AAA second baseman, 285, 353, and 413, looking to be called up as well. Kerry Mela struggled this month in AA, 397 to a 149 whip in 122 innings pitched, and Juan Francisco was just called up as well. Other than that, I said everyone who I'm thinking about calling up for sure in September, but I also want to say Kyle Lewis is also looking to be called up too, having a great season down in which started in AA, but has now moved on into AAA. So that's prospects and how they've been doing in July. Let's go ahead and talk about our team rankings in July to see how we stacked up with the rest of the league and see how we did compared to last month. Slugging, we're up to 17th from from 13th at 409 now. Walks still at 26 with 299. Runs scored up to 22nd, or tied for 22nd at 392. Last month we were 20th. RBIs at 23rd with 381. Last month we were at 21st as well. Errors, we're at 26 with 313. Coming down, we're at 26 actually, not 23rd. We're at 22nd last month. Fielding percentage down to 19th compared to 23rd last month at still a .986. And on base percentage, we're tied for 18th. No, 23rd at 26th at 313. My fault. Our pitching is still held up pretty well. We've actually improved ERA. We're still 12th with 362. Home runs. Runs allowed, we're both at 11th with 906 and 392 respectively, down from 17th and 12th respectively. Home runs allowed, we're down to 10th from 15th at 105. So our pitching is held up pretty well. Really what you want to look out for is you want to have a good pitching club and you want to have a good defensive club. If you have those two things, then I mean you're pretty much set. You just want, an offense that can hold up their end of the bargain. You don't need a, offense that's going to be amazing, just an average offense if you have good pitching and good defense. Other than that, let's check out the standings here. We are still in third at 48 and 55. Astros are 60 and 44. Leading the division, Angels are 52 and 53 with 8.5 games back. We are 11.5 games back. Rangers still breathing down our necks, 48 and 58, which is a big shock. I thought they'd be doing a lot better. And then the Athletics, of course, in last. In the wild card, as you can see, we are 7.5 games back on a 2-game losing streak currently, 4 for 6 for our last 10. And I found this interesting. To the right, you can see all your splits. We actually played pretty well in the division. We're 23 and 17, above 500. At home, we struggle though. We're at 21 and 27, and on the road, we're at 27 and 28. There you can see our team totals at the top there, which is pretty decent. I wish our on-base percentage was a little higher, as well as our slugging. I think our average is just fine, and our ERA is actually pretty good, as well as our fielding percentage. There you can see, though, we really struggle with contact and defense and speed, so really looking to improve all those things to make us a better ball club. Other than that, I still have to go through our lineups and give out the numbers for our lineups. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright guys, so our lineup and our stats. Martin 274, 336, 419. Aoki 281, 346, 404. Seager 275, 335, 517. Cruz 279, 342, 568. Francisco and only 8 at-bats on the big league club, 500, 500, and 1.125. Off to a great start with the big league club. Cano still struggling, 227, 258, and 394. Zunino, 197, 264, 280. Gurriel, 244, 295, and 374. Looking to get him going. And Marte is up to now 265, 321, and 364. Alright guys, so not really any big stories. Martin has really cooled off since his hot start to begin the season. Aoki still right about where I pictured him to be, batting in the 280s. Kyle Seager still providing some offense at 275 with 26 home runs and 55 RBIs. Nelson Cruz has really been our anchor. I mean, he's hitting 271, 342, and 568. That is fantastic, especially for his age. Francisco off to a great start. Hopefully he can continue that. If not, Vogelbach might have to be called up and play first base for us, batting against right-handers. Robinson Cano still really struggling, as you can see there. Zunino struggling as well. That is why I put a claim on Avila and Hundley. And if I don't get those two guys, we might have to look at the catcher position in the off season and try to make some adjustments there. Gurriel's still doing pretty well, and then Marte is really turning it up as of late. Really hoping to get him above the 270 to the 285 mark by the end of the season as for his average. And then his on-base percentage, I'm really hoping to get him into the 330s or 340s. Slugging for him it's kind of irrelevant. I don't want to say it's irrelevant in general, just for him at the bottom of the lineup. I mean, a 350 to 400 somewhere in there is fine. On the bench, Sean O'Malley really cooled down. Boop Pogba in about 25 bats, batting 182. That's just kind of my fill-in spot right there. I've been calling guys up and down and up and down and up and down. Kyle Lewis, though, might be the next call-up. He's doing really well. He's had a very, very good season all around at AA and AAA. I ended up providing some decent offense, batting against left-handers only, batting 251 with 8 home runs. And then Rodriguez is still doing a pretty good job. Like I said before in my last video, my recap video, I'm not really expecting him to, bat his, stats from, you know, 2008 where he hits 302 with 35 home runs. I'm not really expecting any of that. I'm just expecting him to be consistent, which he has been for the most part. Other than that, in my rotation here, everyone is doing very, very well. Paxton has kind of struggled as of late, hoping for him to kind of end that and really get going again. He has been very consistent though, which I like, and Tajon Walker has really come around since a very, very dismal start to the season, and Nate Carnes has been absolutely fabulous, to say the least, down there in the 5th spot. In the bullpen, Strickland has kind of struggled a little bit since coming to the Mariners, but he is still pretty young, and we have him under team control for a long time, so nothing to worry about too much there. Scribner has kind of struggled. I'm hoping to get him and his stats down by the end of the year. And Knievel, I think he'll be pretty good for us in the years to come, as well as Vincent and Furbush. Furbush has really done a very, very nice job out of the setup man in our bullpen. As you can see his stats right there, he has the most innings pitched besides Knievel, but Knievel just came in from the Brewers. So as an in-house guy, since the start of the season, he has the most innings pitched for us out of that bullpen, and then Cishek has done actually a really good job in closing for us this season ever since I sent on Diaz, he's done decent in AAA. He's hot right now, but his AAA stats this season so far aren't too great, and as you can see, his stats on the big league club in 16 innings are not too good at all for a closer. So other than that, that's really it. If someone really starts to struggle in this rotation, which I hope won't happen, LeBlanc might be the next guy to come up, but Zach Lee has also done a very nice job. I have Robles down in the bullpen down there. As you can see, through 7 2/3, he's not off to a great start in AAA. His big league numbers weren't really that good this year, so hopefully next year he'll be a good, someone to come out of the bullpen and shove next year for us. Jansen has done a really nice job ever since I signed him. Maybe towards the end of this year to next year, he will be a big thing, or someone big coming out of that rotation, or that bullpen, I should say. And then Vidal Nuno has actually done very nice in that bullpen down there. I think he has the most innings pitched. Yes, he does, at about 63. And as you see, his stats are absolutely phenomenal. So he might actually get called up here, depending on how Scribner does. Other than that, I think that's really it. I don't have any more moves to make. I did put a claim, as you saw at the beginning of the video, on 2 catchers, Darno Navarro and Nick Hundley from the Rockies and the White Sox. So hopefully those 2 guys, if they come to us, which I hope only one does, if I get both, that might create a little bit of a problem. But I hope those 2 guys, or at least one of them, can come and make an impact if they make our way to our roster. Like I said, we're in the final 2 months of the season here, so hoping to make a big, big playoff push. We're not too far out of it. I think we can catch the Angels. I'm not so sure about the Astros. They have to start playing pretty bad for us to catch them. Take a look at their splits here. Astros play very well at home, and the Angels are kind of in the same position as us as far as home and away splits. Both those teams, actually, they give up quite a bit of runs. Not as many as the Athletics, but they do put up a lot of runs, and I think that is the big thing for us. We just don't put up enough runs to compete with the likes of the Angels or the Astros. So hopefully we can get that kind of taken care of here as we start, really the second half of the season. That's really the July recap. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm going to get back to playing games on the regular pretty quick here. I'm pretty excited about Waka. I think he can be a big factor for us I mean, he has better stats than Iwakuma, and he's also 10 years younger than Iwakuma, and we basically have him for the next 6 years because he's under team control. So I hope he can, you know, kind of really make a difference for us, not just this year, but in years and years to come. Other than that, King Felix is doing King Felix stuff. His record doesn't really show that he is. Like every year, his record isn't too great, but his stats, you know, with his innings pitched and WHIP and ERA and all that are pretty good. So let's go ahead and get the second half of the season started here. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's get back to playing baseball.